Hello guys, it's Kelly here again and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another journal related video. A few days ago I showed you how I filled up my 2021 bullet journal, reading journal, and my reading stats, and also how I did on my reading challenge for the past year. And today I come to you with a setup video, and this is going to show you how exactly I set up my 2022 bullet journal and kind of the theme I was going for. I continued in the same journal notebook that I used for my 2021, just because I was kind of about halfway through, so I thought that I can utilize the space as well. And as you can see, this notebook is really cool because it has lined pages for the first part of the book, and then the second part, the second half, has half craft paper pages, half aligned pages, and I thought it was really cool and really cute. And I can start off my year for my reading year in the craft paper section and then continue on to the lined paper. Now this one I just said I really love it, but also I am very horrible at writing straight and drawing straight, so it was a bit of a hassle because the craft paper doesn't have any dots or any lines, so I had to use a ruler kind of all of the time. And even with a ruler I still didn't get as precise the lines as I wanted to, but that's just me. I tend to just draw very crooked lines. So on the first two pages I have my covers, which are just a piece of black paper where I wrote down 2022 for the year, and on the other side I have a little tab that says reading journal and just some pictures that I have left over from last year's themes. And this time I am still going to use a lot of pictures, but I thought in the spreads and the statistics part of the journal there wouldn't be that many pictures, and I would go more into the design of the tables and trackers themselves. So as I said, the first page are my header and cover page. Now we skipped up a bit because as I was recording, one of my videos got corrupted, which is unfortunate, but sometimes it happens, so I had to skip a few steps forward. But basically you just missed the finishing of the first two pages where I have my index table where I will write all of the books that I've read so far in the year, what rating I gave them, and also on what page in my journal are my thoughts concerning them. That is on the left side. On the right side I have... oh shoot, what did I have on my right side? Okay, I got up to get my journal so I can remember. On the right side I have my reading challenge, and I have 22 prompts for the year 2022. So 22 prompts for the year 2022, and I will go over them in a next video. I do have them written down right now, but I didn't include them in this video, so I can do a separate video for those ones. So stay tuned if you want to see what I challenged myself to read this year. Now I've moved on to the next pages, which on the right side, the table that I have is my reading days for the entire year. And my idea is to fill up for every day what I read and how, in which format I read it, whether it's a physical book or audiobook or a manga or comic book or a ebook. Last year I read only one ebook, which is one more than I've ever read in my entire life. So I decided to just add it in the table and see if we have any this year at all. On the left side I have my shelves, and I wrote down the books that I read and stylized them as a bookshelf with different books, and the books that I bought as well. And on the bottom is my bookish wish list. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, my unspoken challenge is to read more books than I buy in a year. So that's why I have more books on top and less books on the bottoms, and I try to keep my wish list kind of small so I don't get tempted to buy books that I'm not sure that I will like. Now on the next pages I decided to do my averages this year because I was curious how I did last year, but I didn't keep an average tracker, so I don't really know. I mean, I can obviously see, but I thought it was cool to have a spread just for that. So I have my average on top, and on the bottom I have my top 6 books. Now, for average, I wrote down average books that I read per month, average pages that I read per month, average rating that I gave to all of my books, my fastest read, which is how fast it took me to read a specific book, my slowest read, obviously how long it took me for the slowest one, the highest rated book that I gave the highest rating to, and the lowest that I rated. And I rate my books in stars for 1 through 5 just because Goodreads rates them that way. It's not ideal because sometimes I do have books that are kind of in the middle of something, but not exactly 0.5, not exactly 0.75, but yeah, I'm gonna figure out a better system to rate them, or I might use the call bio from Book Roast. She has a very extensive table on how you can rate your books. That's also an interesting one. I just haven't had the time to look through it and see what I like and what I don't from it, and whether it works for me and my specific way of reading books. On the other side, I have my books and pages, and that is for each month, how many books and how many pages I read and completed. If you want to see how it would look finished, you can check out my 2021 bullet journal and the statistics there, because I have it already filled up, and it's gonna look kind of the same way. I really loved how it turned out the first time, so I am keeping the tracker in itself. On the next page, I have my genre and basic statistics. So on top in the black boxes, I have my genres, which are, I was really deliberating how exactly I'm going to separate all of the books that I read. So I thought that maybe I would add some more genres, or maybe I would just keep them all in genre separations and not genre and subgenre. But in the end, I went with the genre and subgenre just because I do have specific books that I read more of, and usually if I'm going to read a thriller, chances are it's going to be a thriller with sci-fi elements or with fantasy elements, and not just a thriller in its own. The same goes for the romances, so it just makes sense for me to have genres and subgenres. So on the left side is my main genres, where I wrote down I separated them a little bit differently this year. Instead of having sci-fi, fantasy, and fiction and non-fiction, I have a pure sci-fi, which is just completely sci-fi, pure fantasy, again just mostly fantasy. Then I have fiction that has sci-fi or fantasy elements, because there are some books that I would qualify in this category better than just pure sci-fi or fantasy. I have non-fiction, and I have non-magical fiction, myths and retellings, and poetry. And for my subgenres, which are books that that I categorize in any of the ones that I just said, but also have some different elements. So I have, for my subgenres, mystery thrillers, post-apocalyptic horrors, superhero and superpowers, romance, classics, short stories, and others. On the bottom, I have a pie chart that is going to track my format for my audio, physical, comic book, and ebook. I thought it would look cool this year if I did it in a pie chart. On the bottom, I have my language tracker, which is how many books I read in a specific language, and I have Bulgarian and English because I usually I can speak both languages. I read either books in Bulgarian or in English. On the right side of the page, I have my ratings tracker, and this year I added a DNF tracker as well, so I can see how many I DNF'd this year. And on the bottom, I have the battle between YA and adult. So yeah, I was interested to see how they're gonna match out. On the next page, I have my shelf of shame, which is a couple of books that I started reading but never ended up finishing. Not because I unhauled them, not because I DNF'd them, but just because. I don't even know why. just because. For instance, one of those books is Illuminate, which I was really enjoying, and I put it down, and it's been 2 years now, and it's still on my shelf of shame. So I wanted to see if I will get to and finish any of those books that I write down in the shame shelf. Shame shelf. I should try to say that 6 times fast. On the bottom, I have a little square for my unhauls, which I tend to not unhaul books, but I thought I would give them a space this year. Maybe it will motivate me to unhaul more. The reason why I don't usually do that is because I listen to audiobooks mostly when I'm not sure if I'm gonna like the book, and it is very rare that once I've listened to it as an audiobook, I gravitate towards buying it. On the right side, I have my series started, where in little boxes I'm going to track how far along am I to series, and hopefully this will motivate me to finish some of them, because I have 2 series that I only need to read the last book of, and I'm really hoping that I do, so I can finally finish at least 1 series. So that's it for me today, guys. I'm going to show you a quick flip through of the entire spread, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment, like, and subscribe if you like what you see and would like to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!